And I'm live again. This time I'm going to be joined by a special guest, Shawn Leonard. So I'm going to wait for Shawn to join me, and then I'm going to wait for a minute or so for anyone who is going to join us live today. And if you're watching it on a replay, thank you so much for listening to this conversation. This is going to be a completely spirit-led conversation, a very raw, unscripted one, and I'm very excited and curious where we are going to go with it. So let's wait. Hello, Shawn. Okay, so I'll just wait for you to join, view request. Okay, let's see. Let's hope it doesn't freeze. Go. Request accept. Hello.
Hello. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. We've ticked the technology, it does work, we are connected. Now we can enjoy our conversation.
Absolutely. I mean, should I go get my earbuds, or am I good? Like, can you hear me?
Well, whatever works for you. I do have my headphones because there is a background noise of, so I'm used to, but it depends. I can hear you clearly.
Okay, good. If you can hear me clearly, then I'm sure everybody
Yes.
can hear me.
Hello,
So,
everyone, for joining. Hello, Marta. Ricky will be taking over my phone. Well, excited to see. Hello, everyone. As always, I'm waiting for a minute or so
okay.
to give anyone time to join us live. And this live will be then available on the replay. So if you're watching it on the replay, thank you so much for, well, taking part in that conversation as well. Hello. Okay. And you can
True.
let us know in the comments where you're tuning from. We're very curious to find out. This conversation, as I've already mentioned, is completely raw, completely unscripted. And I had a conversation with my spirit guides, and I thought, like, maybe I should have some questions. And they said, like, no, we so much want more authenticity. We so much want spirit-led conversations. So I'm very curious where this conversation is going to take us today. Greetings from Toronto. Hello, Calgary, Alberta. Burlington, Vermont. Hello, everyone. Okay, let's us start. Thank you
Yeah.
so much, Shawn, for agreeing to speak with me. I have a very deep respect for your work, and it meant a lot for me when I connected with you, and then I asked how you want to be introduced. You said that it's okay for me to follow the spirit and introduce you the way the spirit world would like to do it. And we are going to include the formal introduction as well. But I would really, if there's one thing I would like anyone to take from this live, is that we are all one, we are all interconnected. There is no such thing as coincidence. We are guided. So, how did it happen that we are here having that conversation? I'm in Scotland right now. You are in Nova Scotia, Canada.
Well, which also means New Scotland.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So, there is a deeper connection here as well. But just to let you know, a while ago, I decided to enroll in an online Hay House conference because I really wanted to support my mentor, Abiola Abrams. Welcome, Goddess, if you're watching it. And I knew that I wasn't able to listen to everyone because it was a very busy day with my children. I planned to listen to Abiola, and then I really wanted to listen to Kyle Gray because I've been studying angels with him for a while.
Mhm.
And then I was so much drawn to you, which is not a coincidence. And the minute you started speaking, I started sobbing. I started crying. You spoke to my soul, you spoke to my heart. And I'm not using those terms to really describe something metaphorical, to really feel it. And at that very moment, I heard my spirit guide saying, "You're going to meet Shawn one day." I'm like, okay, like they've got various crazy ideas. And after that conversation, well, after your talk, after a couple of weeks, I heard you have to contact Shawn. I'm like, no, like maybe I'll just leave it and later on. Like, no, you have to speak with Shawn. I'm like, okay. Anyone who knows me, my spirit guides are very outspoken. And when I'm to do something, they just talk and then I really have to do it. But I was not stressed to approach you. I felt that deep sense of peace and excitement, which really told me a lot about your soul and about the beauty of your work. Because for me, we're all one. We are not, no one's better, no one's worse. No, like, of course, you're so much more experienced in terms of your work. But straight away, I knew we were going to have that conversation. So it's very difficult to describe using words the beauty of your soul and what I'm experiencing here. But I just wanted to start from that introduction. Um, Welcome to this
Well,
life.
thank you for tuning in and spirit guiding you to kind of see me just for that brief moment that I was on the Hay House, summit down in South Carolina, I believe, with Abiola. Then it was very nice meeting her as well. I think I passed her once before in the hall at the I Could Do It conference, but I never actually got to chit chat with her. But it was nice to, you to be inspired by Kyle and Abiola, and then somehow our paths crossed because of all that. And like you said, I don't believe there's any accidents in life. Maybe there's something. We can get something from everyone. That's what I say. There's so many spiritual teachers out in the world that it's good to have people that are connected, like you or myself, or other people like Kyle Gray, Abiola, and many, many, many more. Even for myself, back in the day, and even where I am today as a Hay House author of a book titled Spirit Talker, and was in the Elders Oracle card deck. I actually have signed a two new book deal with Hay House too, which is amazing. So I know I'll be with Hay House family for a little while. And I appreciate all the authors that are connected to Hay House, but it's not just Hay House. There's so many other people in the world like yourself, Marta, that are doing this work in an engaged way, and I appreciate people that are following their path and their purpose. And I think that the world needs many people that are walking a spiritual path and journey, and serving and helping people in the best way they can. And I've been inspired by so many people myself. Like Joshua. As other people may know him as Jesus. And Dr. Wayne Dyer and some other people, like even John Holland, another Hay House author. And when things are meant to be, everything aligns, and there's synchronicity that brings you together. And I was happy to kind of tour with John. And before I was ever a Hay House author, and I always aspired to be a Hay House author, but it's not like if I don't become a Hay House author that I'm not going to keep doing what I'm doing. I think the most important part is that you feel engaged in what you do, and that you feel passion, and that there's some aspect of joy that is working it through you to kind of help and serve people out in the world. And that's what I feel I've been doing my whole life, and I feel that same energy from you too. And so maybe it's not necessarily that you're drawn to me, it's just something you recognized, that soul connection of being on the same journey of sorts, and that your light sees my light, that namaste word, that everybody, that I feel like there's people who are like mind see that light in other people who are also like mind. And I think we should support each other. I think that's what the Hay House family kind of does. It's a publishing company, but they support like-minded people to kind of get out in the world and do things like what we do. But that's not where it ends, right? That's what I'm saying. That's why there's Instagram and Facebook and other kinds of social media platforms and YouTube, and I think it's incredible that we can connect in these like kind of ways through technology. Yet, you bring a spiritual insight to people across the world, whoever may be tuning in or joining us today. So thank you for your work, and thank you for noticing me there, and having your guides. I feel probably give you the nudge to say, hey, reach out to Shawn. So here we are. And so what would you like to talk about? Like we said, we're going to keep this open, and just talk about where spirit guides us. And I love talking about spiritual things and spiritual insights. And if there's people who are in the group, like I see Intuitive Lee, she's a student of mine. Lee Shanks from all the way out in the west coast of Canada. If anybody has any questions that they would like to ask about anything, I think me and you both, Marta, could probably talk about it. So here we are.
Absolutely. There's one thing that I would also like to ask anyone who's watching it, whether live on a replay. This is just a quick question. Since I've connected with Shawn, I've been seeing daily a symbol of something. If you are tuning in intuitively what it can be, then please leave comments, and I'm going to reveal it in a second. Because there's no such thing as a coincidence, but I think I would like to start with this one. I'll give you a couple of seconds. What is it that I've been seeing everywhere in my home? And I have been not purchasing on purpose items with that animal. I can help a little bit here. It's a polar bear.
Oh, yes.
The minute... Yeah?
I have to... Well, I'm trying to watch the comments. I mean, did anybody answer that, or anybody say anything?
Well, I'm trying to not really press here.
Okay.
So it doesn't freeze, but yeah, if you had in mind any animal, eagles or polar bear. Yes, a polar bear. So the minute I connected with Shawn, I realized that I have a pajama with a polar bear. Today I was folding my daughter's clothes and I saw socks with a polar bear. I was having a coffee and there was a package of marshmallows with a polar bear.
No way.
And I could give you examples, like I've been seeing those signs like daily. So I feel I would like you, if you could, and expand and talk a little bit about the importance of your connection with spirit animals, the power animals and the totem animals.
Absolutely. That's my next book with Hayos, actually, is about spirit totem animals. And I just submitted it to my editor, Anna Cooperberg. So she's going to be sending it back to me, I think, by the 15th or something like that. And then I'll have to do more work on it. And it goes back and forth a little bit until it's finished. But, it was inspired because actually when I first signed the contract with Hay House, it was funny how everything kind of like connected together. This is the synchronicity of everything, right? It was actually John Holland that brought Hay House's attention to who I was. So I'm really grateful for that. And it's because we toured, and that I get that opportunity to tour. And I wrote a book, way back in the day. It was called The Language of Spirit. It was a self-titled book. And I did publish it, and I sold 5,000 copies myself. I think I spent, out of pocket, probably like $18,000 of my own money to write with different writers and have it edited and published through Balboa Press, which is a self-publishing company. And I did it because I really felt it's something I needed to put out into the world. It's like I needed to share my stories and get my messages out there, etc. Because when you have a story, you want to share, you find every way that you can share it. And I never and I published through Balboa because I knew it was a sister company of Hay House. And anyway, John Holland was walking by an office 5 years after I published, right? Because I published in, I think it was 1996 or something like that. No, 2006. God, I'm aging myself here. No, not 2016. That was what it was. That's the date, not 2006. My math is horrible, just so you know. But anyway, I published my book, and then John Holland was walking by an office in Hay House headquarters, and he overheard a conversation saying, somebody, we should be looking for a few more Indigenous authors, And he heard the conversation, and he backed up, and he asked him, he said, pardon me, like, what did you just say? And he's like, did I never tell you about Shawn Leonard? I think he's got a book published through Balboa Press, called The Language of Spirit. He's got a TV show in Canada. So anyway, I get a call from Heos that say they want to have a little meeting with me. And I'm like, okay, let's like, what, I wasn't out there going, okay, how do I get a Heos publishing deal? I never did that. I just like was living my life the way that I normally live my life. And so one of the, I got talking to, one of the ladies who's a CEO of Hay House as well, like one of the co-chair CEOs, with Retreats and everybody. And anyway, we're having a chit chat with Anna Cooperberg, and she so I tell her one of my stories, right? Because I tell her my stories and something unique that has happened to me in the past. And even though that we would already agreed that probably I was going to write, Spirit Talker, wasn't titled that yet. And one of the stories I told her was about how I received polar bear medicine. And the polar bear medicine had come to me in a dream. So way back in the day, and I don't remember when exactly, I had this, incredible dream where I was in a field, and for whatever reason, there was these like 7 shadowy figures that were chasing me. And I started to run across the field, and I didn't know who these shadow people were. I just knew that somehow they were going to do me some type of harm, and I was running. And there was a tree line on the other side of the forest, and what I didn't expect to come out of the tree line was these 7 polar bears. So these 7 polar bears walk out of the tree line into the field and start running towards me and the 7 other shadows. And I'm like, oh God, not only do I have to run shadows, but now I have to run 7 polar bears and 7 shadows. I'm surely done for. This is what I'm thinking. So I run my little heart out in the field, and I'm going as quickly and as hard as I can. And I realize I cannot outrun the polar bears. They're just too fast. And, I'm just a human. I can only run a certain speed. And so I surrendered. I literally got down on my knees and embraced these polar bears overtaking me. And what happened was, each of these 7 polar bears had run past me, and they ran towards the 7 shadows. Now, these 7 shadows, there was no faces. They were just kind of like energies of sorts. And these polar bears ran past me, and each of the polar bears pounced on these shadowy figures, and that were out to do me harm or hurt. And so each of these 7 shadows would just disintegrate. There was no gore or anything like that. It was just dissolve, And as all of the shadows disappeared, the polar bears stopped and turned and faced me. And then they all kind of walked and merged into one great polar bear. And this one polar bear sat there and stared at me in the eyes. And I knew then, and I woke up and I was like, oh my God, the polar bear wasn't there to do me harm or hurt me in any way. The polar bear was there to protect me. And I woke up and I'm telling my wife, Michelle, like, I had this most amazing dream. And so after that time, I had this, very big inspiration to, want to have a polar bear claw. Mm-hmm. And I thought, okay, well, what a unique gift to have. If the polar bear is with me and helping me and guiding me, protecting me, then I would love to have a piece of the animal's medicine to carry with me in life, as that's a very Indigenous, aspect of carrying different things like eagle feathers and etc. And my Indigenous name is White Eagle Spirit Talker, so I thought, well, maybe having a piece of a polar bear be part of my life would be good. So anyway, I put it out to the spirit world. I just said, Creator, help me to manifest this polar bear claw, because I feel like the polar bear is connected to me spiritually from the spirit world as a power animal totem or a spirit animal totem. But either way, I'm calling you to bring me the medicine so that I can carry it. And I let that go. I let the thought go. And I made an offering, because in Indigenous culture, we make offerings. And I gifted some tobacco, which is a reciprocal energy medicine that we give as Indigenous people. Now, if you're non-Indigenous, you can give other medicines. It could be a crystal. It could be something else that means something to you. And you can make the offering and gift it in return. It doesn't have to be tobacco, as that's usually and typically an Indigenous way of approaching things. And we all have different medicines that we carry in life, right? So I gifted it. And probably a month had gone by, and I didn't receive my polar bear, and I didn't
Mhm.
really put a time frame on it, but I really kind of got kind of antsy. I was like, I really love that medicine, and like, how
Mhm.
should I start looking for it somehow? Like, I mean, I wasn't having doubt that somehow it would come to me. I wanted it quicker than maybe the universe had inspired me to have it, or
Mhm.
intended me to have it. So I started looking on online, shopping sites, not for a real polar bear claw, but for like a fake claw of some sort, like a gold-plated claw.
Mhm.
I was going on eBay and Amazon. I was like, no, I can't do this. This is not right. I'm like, even though they looked really accurately close and I'm sure would make a nice piece of jewelry, I was like, no, I really want to have the claw. So I just stopped and I said, I can't do this. And even my wife made fun of me a little bit, but uh, so I let it go. And then probably a month or so later, I get a little package in the mail. And it's a little box with a little card, and it's all wrapped in a red cloth. And I open up the little parcel, and it comes from a lady in Newfoundland, Canada, another province, and her name is Barbara Kent Bishop. And so Barbara gives me this present, and she goes, Shawn, I was just in Labrador in northern Newfoundland, on the mainland of Newfoundland, because Newfoundland has an island, a fairly large island, and also a mainland part of the island. She says, I was near Labrador, and I met with an Inuk, like an Innu elder, an Inuk elder there. And he gifted me two gifts. And he said, this one is for you. And he said, this other one, which was a polar bear claw, it's for someone else. And he said, and you need to give this to someone else, and you'll know who it's meant to go to. So she went home, and she's got these two claws, and she thought long and hard about who she should gift it to. And the only person she could think of was me. So she said, okay, I'm going to send this off to Shawn, not knowing about my
Mhm.
dream, not knowing about all of the stuff that had happened to me. And so anyway, I open the package, and the little red cloth, I pull out, this polar bear claw. And so now I have the claw, and I wear it all the time with me, and over my heart, which is the medicine that I asked to carry from the polar bear. So I know it was like a very deep and big validation of having that medicine come to me in life. Now, this is where the story goes deeper, because even since the live session that I did with Hayos, and I spoke about it at the and I can't even remember what conference it was, but it was down in South Carolina that I was doing it with Hayos, and all the other authors, including Abiola. That after that I got like a little piece of fur from another lady named Larry Curdo, who's Mi'kmaq, from Nova Scotia, and she gifted me this little and said I should wrap my claw in it. Because she does like part-time taxidermy, and so anyway, I still have that claw. I keep it in my medicine pouch, which is made of birch bark, and I keep my medicine in it as well, my smudging medicines. And then after that, I got another call from someone else in Nova Scotia, and she said, Shawn, I'm looking to have a session for me and my mom. We're going through some times, and she said, I can't really afford to pay you, but I have a special gift I could offer you. It's a polar bear rug. And I said, okay. So I said, well, I don't really do readings, but because of the gift that you're offering, I feel like I have to kind of find a way to make time for this. So I did. I made time. She gifted me the polar bear rug, and I have it upstairs in my bedroom area. And so that was the three parts that I got. But while writing the book and my new book for Hay House, I've gotten two more parts of different
Mhm.
bears, of polar bears. I'll take you over to one. I'm just going to go for a little walk, and just to
Okay.
give you a sense of what else has come to me. And I'll take a little, and in my, I got a whole polar bear rug with
Wow.
and it's laying on
Mhm.
top of my pool table here. And it's got all of its claws. It's like 10 feet
Mhm.
long. And, so that medicine is now with me for the rest of my life. Now, someone else had gifted me this. And you know what the weird and cool thing is that in my dream, when I saw the polar bear, it was this bear's eyes that was looking into my eyes.
Mm.
It's the
Wow.
exact bear that I saw. I look at him and I recognize him on a soul level. So I know that it's him. And so anyway, I'll go back and sit down and stop moving around. But I got another gift from another fellow, from John Mormal. Let me put my phone down here. Sorry, everybody, for moving things around. But for the point of showing you, he sent me this package just probably about a month and a half ago. And it's another claw. So while writing the book, I received, 2 parts of different polar bears. So now I have 5 parts of different bears. And, in my dream, there was 7 bears that I saw. And I know that in time that I'll receive all 7 parts of those 7 different bears that are meant to be with me and walk with me in life. So that, that prayer that I put out is, asking to validate with just one claw. And now I see that all 7 polar bears in the right time will come to me. And I'll carry all those 7 medicines through for the rest of my life. So I feel very, very blessed. But, I don't feel like I'm the only one in the world that has spirit totem animals. I feel like there's many people in the world that have their own totem animals, and we're probably, universally connected in some way. Because if you think about spirituality, right, in relation to the world, but pre-contact and, pre-Christianity times, every culture probably around the world was deeply connected to the animal nation. And there still are very many that are too connected to the animal nation. And, even with, and like you said, you have a very deep connection to angels. Like even, because Indigenous culture, we look like the eagles, and the bears and the wolf and the coyote and the fox. And, they all have different medicines, the beaver and the turtle, they're very all sacred medicines. And we have the 7 grandfather teachings, even based upon, distinct personalities that each of these animals carry with their medicines. Now, even with the Christianity, I think there's some element of a mix within the angelic realm. I mean, you've got beings that have wings on, for God's sake. So there's like this cross connection between the animal nation and the human nation. So I do feel like on a spiritual level, all around the world, we're all deeply connected to the animal nation. And there's probably some, cross connection, to you and your spirit totem animal. Do I think that we all have the potential to have wings on our back? Maybe we're all meant to be angels in one way or another. But, maybe some of us are meant to have, polar bears that are connected to us, or wolves, or, turtles, or even cats. Because some people have like a deep, I know 2 of my daughters, especially one, Sienna, she has a strong connection to, the cat nation as domesticated cats, and she just loves her cats, and very deeply connected. That is really her family, is her cats, and different people feel drawn to different animals, different animal nations. So I know we have a spiritual connection and medicines that are connected to us from the animal nation, whether you have them living with you as domesticated animals, or you actually have an eagle feather or something else. But I do feel like we all are, we're all connected to the animal nation, whether we're consciously aware of it or not. And that's why I wrote the second book, is to help people understand that deep connection. And I do feel, I mean, just to go even broader, because I'll tell you a little bit of a hint of the book. It's that I feel like we carry at least 4 different animals with us in life, and they walk with us. There's at least 4, because in the medicine wheel in Indigenous culture,